So what is the intensity of Kevin Garnett like in the playoffs?
It's almost like getting asshole naked, taking a shower, stepping into a freezer. I won't recommend it. The hairs on your neck stand up and you be out of control, and to the point where your eyes water and you don't even know why your eyes are watering. This is just the emotion that's in the building and the energy.
The top-seeded Celtics began the postseason as overwhelming favorites against Atlanta. The Hawks featured Joe Johnson, Josh Smith, Mike Bibby, and rookie Al Horford.
We pretty much cruised through the season, and we was like, okay, we got Atlanta.
Young team, they were flying around. They were scrappy.
Games 1 and 2 went exactly as planned. Blowout Boston wins.
Boston, baby! Oh! Here we go, Celtics!
These fans, you know, might be bandwagon jumpers, but I guess that happens when you win.
If Bibby's pointed remarks didn't catch the attention of the Celtics faithful, what was about to go down in Atlanta most certainly did.
During the regular season, we go to Atlanta. Their house, their crowd was non-existent. There's nobody in the stands.
Atlanta is about the king of bandwagon fans.
We just blew them out the first 2 games. We probably gonna sweep them. The crowd was like something I've never seen in Atlanta before.
It was like a college atmosphere. Those young guys really fed off their Atlanta home crowd.
A young team, their adrenaline was going. They had nothing to lose.
The fans have been great to us, and they've really been supporting, so we need them to be here live tonight.
The Hawks won Game 3 on their home court. Horford hit a huge jumper late, prompting Pierce to head toward the Atlanta huddle. He'd wind up getting fined $25 grand for making what the league called a menacing gesture. In Game 4, Joe Johnson exploded for 35 points. And just like that, the series was tied at 2.
The city of Atlanta beat us. They went out, had a great time, felt good about themselves. The next thing you know, it's 2-1. Then it's 2-2.
You know, when you come to Atlanta during the regular season, this atmosphere ain't like this. You know, their fans have really stepped up and came out and supported this team, and they're playing well.
It was just like, man, come on. We just lost 2 games to Atlanta.
We can't lose to the Hawks.
It was a home-and-home series.
Some of the shots Joe Johnson was hitting at home, I was like, my God.
It kind of caught us off guard. It kind of let us know that we was in the playoffs.
Back in Boston for Game 5, the Celtics grabbed hold of the momentum again in the form of a 25-point win.
Yes, and a foul!
But in Game 6, the familiar pattern repeated itself one more time.
They beat us again in the close one. I'm like, man, what is going on?
Guys are screaming at each other. They're arguing in the locker room, and they're going back and forth. After the game, a lot of frustration.
On the plane, it was super quiet. It wasn't no cards being played. It wasn't nothing. Like, nobody was saying nothing.
I felt stress for my coach. I felt stress for the players.
Now we're putting ourselves in the first round in a Game 7 where anything can happen.
Yeah! On the first Sunday in May, order was restored. Finally, the Celtics blew out the Hawks 99-65 in a matinee at the Garden.
Game 7 was just an absolute annihilation.
They wilted. Our crowd was fired up. You feel the energy, and we just jumped on them.
Woo! Hey, come on now. Woo! Man.
You know, we can't go on through the playoffs like this.
I think what they learned is you can't play with teams, man.
They pushed us to the limit. That was our first real test all season.
You can't not show up. You can't be overconfident. You can't think you have somebody.
Okay, on to the next series, and they'll have no problem with the Cavaliers. That's what I thought.
The Eastern Conference semifinals brought the Celtics face-to-face with LeBron James. The NBA scoring champ was coming off a remarkable season, but he didn't have much of a supporting cast.
Mr. Do-It-All, he did everything.
23 years old, and he's on a team that he's the only guy that you really have to worry about.
LeBron can't beat us. He's not going to beat us, but he's going to be great.
Yeah, he was for real, but we just had too many bullies to beat up on him.
LeBron was awful in Games 1 and 2, shooting only 19% from the floor. Boston jumped out to a 2-0 series lead.
LeBron is what makes them go, and if we can somehow control him, we control their team, and you know, with the help of the guys around me, we've been able to do that.
When the series shifted to Cleveland, history repeated itself.
LeBron James with no regard for human life!
The The Celtics lost both road games, and the series was deadlocked at 2. Afterwards, the conversation shifted to LeBron's confrontation with the most unusual of spectators, his mom.
You know, I can't afford for my mom not to be at every last one of my games. You know, I can't afford that. So, you know, I told her to sit down in some language I shouldn't have used.
Sit your ass down. That's what you said to the mother. I said, man, you can't say that to your mom.
Bolstered by a combined 75 points from the trio of Garnett, Pierce, and Rondo, the Celtics defended their home floor again, winning Game 5 96-89. Ever confident, Cleveland's young superstar conceded nothing.
A LeBron James team is never desperate.
Sure enough, Boston lost on the road again in Game 6, setting up an unforgettable Game 7 showdown between Pierce and LeBron.
That Game 7 was amazing, man. That's one of the best games I've ever been to.
My whole mindset that day was like, my season is not going to end today.
That was one of the great games in the history of NBA basketball.
It was one of the greatest basketball games I think ever played, that Game 7.
No way that we can go home in the second round, but I refuse to let my team lose that day.
One of the best games I ever seen Paul play, hands down.
I just wanted to put them all on my shoulders and, like, carry us, because I knew that when you got a great player like LeBron, anything can happen in the Game 7. You know, he could be special, and he was. But unfortunately for him, I was able to be special that day, too.
KG came in the huddle. Never heard KG say this, ever. Came in the huddle, said, truth, I don't have it tonight. Truth, I don't have it. You're going to have to do it. Pete looked at him and was like, I got you, big fella.
It was back and forth. Almost seemed at some point that everybody else evaporated from the court, and it was just them two playing full court basketball one-on-one and making shot after shot, tough shot after tough shot. That was crazy.
You guard me, I guard you. We going tangle to tangle with each other. It was like bucket for bucket. Paul wanted it more. When Paul, like, the truth, like, he's one of the best players in the world.
Pierce wasn't the only one with a hot hand that afternoon. Perhaps the biggest and most unexpected bucket of the game came from none other than P.J. Brown.
Brown, the jump shot, puts it in! P.J. Brown, the unlikely hero!
That play wasn't really for P.J. Brown. It wasn't for me to shoot that ball.
Eddie passes up a 3 in the corner, takes a dribble in, and passes it to PJ, and I'm going like, what are you doing?
It was a better shot.
I said, well, it's going up, baby. It's do or die.
I could have shot it, yeah, but he had a better one that he works on all the time with nobody around him.
He just wide open, no hesitation.
The crowd just erupted, man. Because I think everybody was like in shot, like, this wasn't the guy that was supposed to take that shot.
Him being a veteran, Eddie buying in, all came together.
LeBron finished with 45 points, Pierce 41. But the play that will never be forgotten came with a minute to play and didn't even show up in the box score.
Ilgauskas on the second tip. Pierce comes up with it and calls timeout. He gets the timeout. Paul Pierce making every big play for the Celtics today.
The old high school adage, he who gets to the floor first wins. Paul dove in front of LeBron. LeBron didn't get down in time. He should have. And Paul did it.
Once I saw that ball in the air, my instincts just was like, get the ball any way you can once I tipped it. So once I tipped it, once it came, shot the gap, I grabbed it, called timeout. I just remember laying on there, just understand how big that was, and I just remember screaming at the top of my lungs.
That was the difference between going home and going on, and it really exemplified what that team was all about. Whatever was necessary, they were going to do.
And he just willed his team to victory. This is the breakout game I know he's been waiting for, and he definitely came through for him.
Tonight was basically get the ball to Paul Pierce, get the hell out the way.
You know, you kind of expected the game to be like this. You know, like Kevin said, two heavyweights going at it, throwing body blows.
On Tuesday, we're exactly where we thought we would be. Game 1 at home against PJ.
The next round pitted the Celtics against the Detroit Pistons. The teams were meeting in the conference finals for the first time in 20 years.
It's not like Larry Bird and that Celtics playing against Zeke and Joe Dumars and that Pistons team. But that's a whole new different crop.
We had great respect for the Pistons. I mean, they're a championship team.
They got you know, veterans. They've already won it. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals so many times, and we knew that was the team that we was going to have to beat.
They had Chauncey, and you got Rip, and you got Rasheed Wallace, but all of those guys were not at their highest point.
Their tires were close to popping. So although they did have some success against Boston that season, I think they knew it was kind of the beginning of the end of that Pistons era.
As fans had grown accustomed to, Boston took care of business in Game 1 at the Garden. But in Game 2, Detroit turned the tables, handing the Celtics their first home loss in the postseason.
It's a big win, you know, but we don't settle for less, you know. We don't look at it that it was undefeated here at home. We looked at it as an opportunity for us to get a win.
Guys, something's got to change. If we're going to get to the finals, we got to win on the road, period now. Now y'all forcing us to win on the road.
Boston bounced right back, winning Game 3 by 14 points in the Motor City.
Allen pushing back to Garnett for the slam.
They led by as many as 24. The monkey was off their backs at last.
We was like, whew, like about time. We was like about time we went on the road.
We knew we could win on the road. That wasn't our problem. We just knew we could do it. We knew we had to do it at some point.
The teams traded blows as the series went deeper. A 19-point win by the Pistons knotted the series at 2 apiece. In Game 5, KG led all scorers with 33.
Garnett, big-time flush with the right hand.
Allen poured in 29, including a long jumper with a minute left to hold off Detroit.
Allen comes off the screen, fires a 3, puts it in. That's a 2. His foot was on the line, but he knocks down a big shot.
The series shifted back to Motown for Game 6, with Boston holding a 3-2 lead. The Celtics were focused on one thing and one thing only: ending the Pistons' season.
We got tired of those Game 7s. I remember when we went down to Detroit for Game 6, we was like, man, we're not coming back here for a Game 7.
You just taste it, you know. You just feel on the bus riding to the arena that everybody really was on one page and really wanted to close the series out.
It's time. Like, this is it. Like, you know, we got one more game to win.
Detroit led by 10 in the fourth quarter, but the Celtics went on a 19-4 run to take the lead. James Posey's steal with less than 2 minutes left gave Boston the breathing room it needed.
Posey with the steal, he took it away.
The Celtics won the game 89-81 and were heading back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1987.
Fall like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Let's go, baby, we're in the finals. I could write a whole book on my emotions right now, but I'm just happy to be in this position, still with the Boston Celtics. It makes me think about a year ago today what I was doing. To be in this position with the same team going to the finals, it's nothing I can really put into words.
We have a big task ahead of us. We know that the total goal is not done, but feels good. Feels real good.
I'm sitting across from KG, and you know, we both look at each other like this isn't it. Like, this isn't what we came here for. We didn't come here to win the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, we knew this is a great stepping stone. You know, give us a pat on the back, but now let's really get to work because there's 4 more games that we have to take care of.
We knew our journey was not done yet. That blank space was still blank.
Oh, are they ready here in the city of Boston? The Beat LA chants started about an hour ago. With all due respect to the 28 other teams, when it comes to the championship round, this is the NBA's marquee matchup.
Celtics, Lakers was the NBA's dream. It brought back the LA-Boston thing.
Dating back to 1959, the Celtics and Lakers had met 10 times in the finals. For decades, the rivalry was massively one-sided. Boston owned the Lakers, beating them 8 straight times for titles. In 1985, Los Angeles finally broke through. They followed that up with another win in 1987. More than 2 decades later, the league's reigning MVP squared off against 3 stars hungry for their first title.
You either with one team or the other. There was certainly no middle ground. Either you're a Kobe guy or a Big 3 guy.
Just to follow Mark's question about Phil using the term unstoppable, how do you feel about that as a description of you? Is that how you would describe yourself?
Yep.